So it's that time again. What's in the bag? What clubs am I using right now? I'm going to give you a full rundown of what is in the bag. Whoa, 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 not yet. Let's start off with the wedges first. So the first things first, I get asked this a lot, am I sponsored for the clubs that I use? Well, the answer to that is no. And I love that because I can use all different brands and I utilize that to have a set that suits me. I'm gonna start with the wedges first and work the way up and find out what's underneath this little custom head cover. Wedges, now these are new for this year. I'll be honest, I fell in love with them as soon as I tested them. I actually said they were the best TaylorMade clubs they've ever made. And I've got 3 of these. These are the Tailor-Made Mg2 Wedges. Setup wise, I've got a 52-degree gap wedge, I've got a 56-degree sand wedge and a 60-degree lob wedge. I like that gapping because it gives me real good control on my wedge distances. Now what I liked about the wedge in general, I love the shape of these wedges. I think they are absolutely stunning. And I also like how they look when you open it up a little bit, close it down, manipulate it. They really do tick a lot of boxes for me. Now these are the wedges that the face rusts on. Now I've had these in the bag for about 4 weeks and played a little bit of golf and they've started to go just a little bit rusty, but not super rusty yet. I'm expecting those to go unbelievably rusty, as you saw in the review that I did. And when they go rusty, I found they do create a little bit more spin. Not loads, but just enough to give me a bit of extra confidence. I do like these wedges. I think they just look stunning. I think they've nailed it with these wedges, and these replace the Vokeys I had in the bag, and that's a big ask. I never thought a TaylorMade wedge would replace a Vokey. And I'm also a big fan of these grips. They're parallel, so when you actually go down the grip a little bit more, it feels the same thickness. So when you're playing more delicate shots, it gives you a bit more of a comforting feel with the grip. Love these wedges. Like I say, got in the bag fairly recently and love them to bits. Irons wise, now these are new in the bag. It takes a lot for me to change a set of irons, I've got to be honest. And I've gone with these bad boys. Ping Blueprint, absolutely stunning irons. Now I've got 4 down to pitching wedge in the set. They're very traditional in the loft, so they're not strong lofted. And for me, I like that. I hit the ball relatively far with my irons. As soon as I go strong lofted, I just hit it too far. What I like about these, they give good control. And for the first time ever in a ping club, these feel fantastic. I've used ping clubs in the bag in the past, but they've never been forged. Now these are forged, they've definitely got a better feel. Shaft wise, I've got these in the Dynamic Gold X100s, and this is the MCC grip, which has this kind of alignment down the back. I can kind of use any grip. I'm not too fussy about grips, if I'm honest, but I've really enjoyed these. I had the 2 iron and the 3 iron when I tested it. I didn't like those. That's why I started it from 4 down to pitching wedge, but Ping Blueprints, loving them. Right, a few more familiar faces in the bag. I don't think there's been a what's in the bag for the last 4 years that this hasn't featured in. Callaway Apex UT 2 iron, 18 degrees. Project X 6.5, a standard crossline grip. This is my go-to club. I absolutely love this. It's not only great off the tee, it's really versatile, so I can hit high, low shots, draw and fade them if I require to do so. It just gives me so much confidence. Let's say I'm on a tight hole and I've got to hit one that just gets down there, or even for me, quite nervous first tee shots, I'll happily take a 2 iron. It's a bit chunky, so it's not a bladed 2 iron. It doesn't scare me. I absolutely love this club. And honestly, I've tried a number of times to replace it and nothing for me has matched it on performance and really for me of a comfort level. I'm just so familiar with this club. Another club that's been around for a while. And it really has, and I didn't think it would ever be around for this long. Long-term fans of the channel have seen this before. Old Bluey, the old 3-wood. Now this is now starting to knock on a bit. This is the Cobra F7 3-wood. I love these little rails along the bottom. It gives me confidence when I'm hitting off the floor. I've got it set in 14.5 degrees. If you think about it now, F7, we've had F8, F9, and now the new Cobra drivers that are coming out soon, or 3-wood should I say. This is now the 4th generation, it's crazy. I've got this in a Fujikura Flex X shaft, and again, just a normal standard lambkin grip. I'm not that fussed about grips, I'm really not. Love this. I've got the weight at the back to give me a little bit more up in the air. It's class. It's honestly one of my favourite clubs in the bag. Come on to driver in a moment. Putter. Again, this has been a big change for me. I've had a same putter in the bag for honestly, I think 3 years now. Now, for someone who tests so much equipment, it's crazy that a club has stayed in the bag for that amount of time. I just can't comprehend that. I went through a phase years ago and I swapped putters all the time. But I had a putter in the bag and I've changed it recently, but not for something too dissimilar. I've got an even roll ER2, which you might have seen in the past. I had the chrome version. Now this is the blacked out version, murdered out. Look at that. And I'll be honest, there's no reason why I needed to swap this putter, bar the fact it just looks better. The white line, yeah, maybe stands out a little bit more, pops off the actual putter face to make it easier to line up the ball, which I do myself. But just look, black shaft, black head, black grip. And this is the gravity grip where it's got like a steel rod in the back of the grip. Still not sold on that yet. It's taken me a while to get used to, but I'm not sold on it. But I do like thicker handled putters. Even roll ER2, just a new version in black. And then the big boy, the driver, the club that most of you watching probably wants to know which driver they'll have in the bag. Now this year, I've tested so many drivers from the top brands. And I'll be honest, this year's been an unbelievable year for drivers. From the big 4 or 5 brands that bring out drivers, they have excelled with their choices. But I've got a driver in the bag that really shocked me this year. And I named it at the start of this year, the driver to beat in 2019. And that hasn't changed. The driver in the bag currently under this really cool Rick Shiels head cover is the Cobra F9 Driver. Now I started the year with the yellow version and moved it over to the Arctic white probably about 3 or 4 months into the year. No other reason that I just think it looks better. I don't massively like the yellow driver. But let's talk about performance of this driver. When I first got into testing, I thought, what can Cobra really do with drivers? I'll be honest with you, as much as I've loved the fairway wood, I've never massively liked their drivers in years gone by, until this. Performance was right up there with the best of them. Sound was at exactly where I want the pitch of a driver sound. It's a little bit more dead. It's a little bit more powerful off the face. This milling of the face. I'll be honest, I don't think it makes the biggest difference in performance, but I've not seen any bad performances with this driver. A lot of it is down to me if I've hit it bad. I've got it in a 9-degree head, but lofted it up by 1 degree. And I've got the hazardous smoke shaft in an X flex. And again, grip. This is, I think, the cross line again, but it's got the little Arcos connect in the bottom. I don't really use that, truth be told. This driver surprised me this year. I never in a million years thought I'd be using a Cobra driver for the full year. And unless something comes out next year that really impresses me, this would probably stay in the bag. Little few notes, I've got the 14 gram weight at the front, 2 gram weight at the back, so it's in the slightly lower spin setting. And performance-wise, this has nailed it this year. Ball-wise, I've had a little bit of a switch. Now, the last few years, I've used the TaylorMade TP5. TaylorMade, for me, have only made one very good performing golf ball, and that was the TP5, and I switched into it with no issue. Got my only ever hole-in-one with the TP5. But I've gone back to familiar grounds. I've gone back to a ball that I seem to always want to go back to. I'm sure it comes as no surprise, the Titleist Pro V1. I've gone for the standard Pro V1 instead of the X. For me, I just like the feel of the standard one, even though it's probably a little bit harder than years gone by, just something very familiar and very satisfying when I use a Pro V1 over any other branded golf ball. But there's so much more choice these days. Regarding technology, I typically use a GPS watch, either the S40, the Garmin Approach S40, or the S60, I like them both. And also, I use the Garmin G80, which is a GPS unit on the side of my bag as well, but also a launch monitor. It's a class device. And a few little trinkets. I don't normally go this deep into what's in the bag, but let me show you what's actually in the bag. Because I have a couple of bags that I always carry around with me. I've got this one first, this little West Lancs golf club where I only got my ever first hole-in-one. And in here I've got a few little trinkets, ball markers, marker pens, with some blue tack for a putting drill that I use sometimes. And then I've got this other little tote bag, which is more of a personalised one. If you ever want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, that's how you find me, at Rick Shiels PGA, little plug. And in this one, I have, again, spare gloves, T-pegs, these little bad boys, hand warmers, just in case it gets absolutely freezing, essential tools. I'm sure there's some aspirin and some painkillers in there as well, just in case I get a headache halfway round. But that is what is in the bag. This year's been a phenomenal year, in my opinion, for golf equipment. Every manufacturer seems to be getting and understanding the landscape better, what us as golfers want from our products. I'm excited to see what comes out next year in 2020. How much of that could potentially be changed, and much harder to be persuaded into new equipment these days, so something's really got to impress me, but I'm excited. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash like. I'd love to know your what's in the bags down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And that is my what's in the bag that I currently use right now. I'll have to tidy all that up now. Great.